I think the key to success in the marketing domain always remains true to the basic. How well do you understand the consumer? See, if you want to get your hands dirty and learn the hard way and you have that patience, start with the agency. Because end of the day, what you're gonna sell is how you're gonna sell. That loyalty can only be created when you are thinking about them, not the other way around. When in a situation on dilemma, when it demands you to look at, really introspect what needs to be done, I think there's only one question that helps.
Hey there, welcome to Marketing Mavericks with Indiefolio. Today we have Dr. Ashish Bajaj with us, who's the Chief Marketing Officer at Narayana Health. We unpack his incredible journey where he's worked with some fantastic agencies, some startups like Ola, giants like Microsoft, and his journey in healthcare marketing. We unpack how to market a hospital and cover a lot of aspects about marketing generally. Thanks a lot for your time, Ashish, and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Kevin, for having me.
I really appreciate you giving out the time. I'm sure it's pretty hectic on a Friday. But first question I usually ask to all the guests here is, how did you stumble upon marketing as a career choice? I believe you did B.Tech, but then you had a pretty long, journey in marketing. So how did all of that happen?
So if I rewind those many decades, so I belong to a typical North Indian business family. I was told to do BTech to take care of a manufacturing units, and I did a pretty good tenure in terms of a family business for doing sales on ground, going to retailer to sell our mobile phones, because we were super distributors of BlackBerry at one point in time. But it just happened that I was quite ambitious, and my parents were quite content, my dad and his brothers. Thus happened the way of doing MBA. Because I had done an internship at Radio Mirchi, a winter internship at Radio Mirchi, I got picked up off campus by a media agency. And that is how my journey with marketing started. I think in the first year itself, when I went on to represent India at Cannes and Spikes Asia, I thought that, okay, this is moving in the right direction somehow. So let's just stick to it.
Fantastic. So, would you suggest to a lot of young people, who have just done some engineering or done some MBA, BBA, whatever, and they're kind of figuring, is this what I really want to do? Do you feel it often your passion comes from your action of exploring various jobs? Or is it the other way around where I should really figure out what I love to do and then build a career there? Because I think with you mentioned you did it first and then you happened to love it and you were very good at it as well.
So I think in any field you want to go, some quick wins or sure shot gives you the confidence of whether you are in the right direction or not. Given the current generation, a lot of things have changed. That it's my generation. It used to be let's give it a try. Current generation is I want to give it a try to the things that I love. So that filter has also come in. So let's be honest. There is no right or wrong way. It's about finding out that what you love on doing.
Right.
So there's no linear formula to it.
Got it. I ask you this because often I have seen folks be unsure about what they love. I think they end up doing a course or an internship based on a few signals
Mm.
about what their friends are saying or what the market is saying or what an influencer is saying. And then when they do it and they don't get those wins, as you said, they kind of wonder, what do I really love to do? So I was like, it'll be interesting to ask you that you switched from engineering to marketing. Like,
Yeah.
is there something which prompted you? Do you think somebody needs to be more curious about certain things to really figure out what they love?
When in a situation on dilemma, when it demands you to look at, really introspect what needs to be done, I think there's only one question that helps: how can I improve the current situation? If you are able to find out that answer, it gives you a very clear perspective.
You worked in a media company in the earlier years of your career. I think you won an award, and I think a bunch of things happened there. I believe for Khan, and then you've been on the brand side uh, for the longest time now. Folks, who are entering marketing are, should I go the brand side? Should I go the agency side? What are the pros and cons as per you?
See, if you want to get your hands dirty and learn the hard way and you have that patience, start with the agency. Because then as you grow up the ladder, you've already done that and got your hands dirty, so you know how it can be achieved. But there are folks who have started building their careers straight from the brand side, have done amazing work. With that, it comes with a mindset. So, how much creative mindset you have, how much analytical mindset you have in terms of analyzing the current brand plus business solutions. Because marketing is as good as the business. If that is not happening for you, because apart from creative, the business angle also needs to be not being on the left side, but at least in the right side of the brain. So it helps both.
Another common dilemma in people's mind is about specialization and focus. um, there is one angle where I have personally, as part of this series, also interviewed a lot of CMOs and head of marketing who stick to one domain, and for the last 15-20 years they've built that up with the argument that understanding the market, the customer, the category is the superpower you build up over a period of time. And at the other end, there have been a lot of fantastic folks, including somebody like you who've worked in multiple industries. Like you've done technology, then transportation, now health. So, what's your outlook towards specialization? Is it that what's the benefit of doubling down on one category, and what's the advantage of having a versatile experience?
So I think the key to success in the marketing domain always remains true to the basic. How well do you understand the consumer? If you're able to understand the basic needs depending on different utilization of a consumer, you've cracked it, beat any industry. Because if you understand how a 25-year-old to a 50-year-old behave in given situations and given products, how they're going to leverage or utilize in their day-to-day life, I think that is the core first. As a specialization, if you're able to understand the consumers right now, given I have a point of view, going into depth of a single industry of course makes you a maverick, but in sometimes it kind of makes you rigid also in terms of seeing the value that it can add from a similar or say a surrogate age industry. It's very simple, right? When you let's take because of Euro 24, I like to cite an example. I don't know if you watch football. Netherlands, their star forward plays midfield while at a club level. Those guys are up for taking different positions and learning the game the best they can. I think it could work for anyone who's starting up, that it's always, you should always be open, and change is the only constant.
Oh, I think that's very well put. I now just wanted to kind of discuss a little bit more about. I believe it's the I Care, I Am Here campaign, which I believe you did. I believe it was in the media agency only, where it was a AAA Cannes Young Lion competition.
Yes.
Would love to know a little bit more about the story there. If I can add one more sub question to it, I want to know, do these things which recognize you, in the early parts of your career really matter and give you a boost and shape your career quicker than the ones who don't? So I'd love if you could throw some light on what happened, what you got, and how it helped.
I'll be very honest. Me and Abhishek, who were part of the team while we pitched for India, we were never looking for glory. It was always the experience. Because imagine you're gonna get 10 minutes, 10 slides, and you have to complete your point. Rather than me saying that we won that accolade, of course it helped. You were then featuring into the yearbooks. You were getting accolades from Delhi government. You were getting accolades from Times of India. It was at that point in age at our careers, it was of course overwhelming for us. But I think what has stayed with me has been a very crucial point, that out of these experiences, while you're building a marketing case, it's always important that you close the loop with business. So one of the major thing which I feel was the differentiator, and it was called out by the jury as well, that you pitched the idea well, and with the idea you have showcased how WHO can earn the donations as well, and that they can help growing for nutritional values in countries like Africa and all. So if I take away from that, I think the entire experience part of it, because under pressure you are able to deliver, that builds you for a very long term, and you get a very good understanding of how your marketing campaigns should also deliver business, and not just always talking about certain softer KPIs.
This brings me to a very interesting point. I think I've been very fascinated with media for a
Mhm.
long time. Often people ask me, hey, am I the right person for marketing? And I see a lot of people, especially in my age group and younger, who bucket marketing like, hey, this is like all creative things, how to be a very creative person. I need to understand how to make a good ad. And then there are strategic, data driven people who also, hear a lot about martech and intelligence and data driven calls, and they get very excited about the same thing. So it's almost like a combination of two. So as you said, if I have to tie back things into the business, of course, that's the fundamental job of marketing. But as somebody who's been in the field for so long, if you had to give some advice or opinions on the young marketer, like what skills really I must capitalize on, which is where there is a dearth, in the market, what would those be?
First and foremost, yes, the creativity.
Okay.
Because end of the day, what you're gonna sell is how you're gonna sell. So if that creativity doesn't come out, and I as a consumer feel that you're also doing the same job what everyone else in the industry is doing, so you're not gonna break the clutter. Plus, given the technologies how they've improved, it's important to understand the cohorts. It's important to understand the data and the signals what consumers are sending you back. So I think P0 for me is creativity. P1 becomes how do you handle or send out that message to people through what channels. That can actually make somebody a great marketer.
I've heard this chatter and I kind of agree with it. There was this, one big idea time where creativity was extremely crucial, where your one campaign, which you make, that one film and one radio spot on, changes the country. But today, because there are so many shelves to put your product on, right? So many
Yeah.
mediums and formats. A lot of people say it's become very process oriented, data driven, and creativity has become secondary. It's basically like, I don't care what's creative. You just tell me what works as per the dashboard. I'll put money into that. And often, people are like, hey, instead of thinking of that one idea, I'll think of 50 ideas and I'll see what works. I don't know. I personally feel with AI also, is creativity becoming less and less important. You mentioned it's a differentiator. So like, what's your take with what's happening, and you still believing creativity should be the focus?
So brilliant question, and I'll tell you why. There's a whole reason of it because yes, you have a multiple layers to put your product on, but the main requirement starts from fragmented consumer approach. Now I am while I am a consumer as well, of course, and I'm a marketer. And look at if you can introspect, keeping you in mind as well. What happens is your focus, because while you used to do one big idea on TV or radio, my focus spans for that kind of medium as a consumer used to be very long. Now what has changed is consumer has changed, and I'm so fragmented right now because 1 minute in time I'm having this podcast, the other minute in time I'll check my WhatsApp as well, and in middle if there is a conversation I'll go through LinkedIn as well. So
Right.
imagine within 20 minutes or 45 minutes of conversation I'm looking at so many multiple touch points as a consumer. And all of these needs, because why it is becoming so challenging for everyone to decide that yeah I need to do at every point in time everything, because the consumer is changing like that. Now if we roll back to question saying creativity, even then there are almost what 7,000 to before COVID, 7,000 advertisers on social media to 7 million advertisers now. So imagine the increase in digital awareness for brands and their way of utilizing social media channels for their visibility. So you your fight is not only now just creativity, is also to be visible.
Right.
And then also the biggest thing used to be break the clutter, and now also it remains the same, to break the clutter. So again, going back to saying that the consumer has changed. That's why all of this is required. I think a lot of in my own experience, I can have a little bit of more conversation on this. We had some brilliant ideas while we were, say, for instance, brainstorming, and we came to an idea. We thought these are just brilliant ideas. These will cut through right, and they don't work. Nobody takes a notice of it. But sometimes when you see you do certain things which are like micro trends,
Mhm.
okay, coming from an example, while I was at transportation industry, we used to do very small things but at a very regular intervals, and used to call as micro trends, and they used to just cut through and make it at an overarching thought process about the brand, saying that they are always different, and that
Mhm.
gave you the differentiation. So again,
Interesting.
creativity was P0 there as well.
Got it. Got it. I think it's a very interesting point. I believe, as you said, with so many people who are more ad publishers, there are also so many people who are now on Instagram, and also much more of them are creating content. So I think probably your competition is no longer your competition, but it's any other person making a cool video. So perhaps how to make something, clutter breaking or fun, it's probably driven by creativity only. And it's going to be difficult for anybody to kind of come up with like new information. So I think I really relate with that and I agree with that.
Yeah,
Jumping now to health and what
yeah.
you've spent the last few years on, I personally am very curious about hospitals, right? Like if you are a marketing leader there, how does that mix work? A lot of chatter around CPG D2C brands and SaaS companies, but not a lot of chatter around what are the pillars for hospital marketing. So could you give us like a bird's eye perspective on how do you actually go about marketing a chain which you have, I believe, about 20 plus hospitals and a lot more clinics pan India?
Yeah.
What's the strategies one usually uses to succeed, and if you could even highlight what are the goals as well for a marketer in a hospital?
So I'll be very honest. This was my question when I was having my conversations with the group as well. Earlier to this, I was with digital healthcare, and it was very straightforward. You have the technology, you need that technology to go to everyone's phone and start utilizing them. But here, it's a different ball game when you talk about overall healthcare. The first and foremost thing that I've understood is like any tangible product that you're about to buy tomorrow, and you're gonna take iPhone 15 or say Samsung Fold 6 just launched, you are okay to pay the money because there's a tangible benefit that you see, and there is a happiness that comes into your mind, and it gives you the a sense of saying that I've achieved something. Correct. So it makes it ambitious for you to buy, and you're ready to invest that kind of money. But healthcare is one space where you're already under pressure in terms of making a decision of where to go. Thus, you don't see anywhere across the globe that there is any kind of loyalty for any healthcare brand. The only reason is the work was, or the relationship with the consumer was very, very transactional. And I think that's the first job of any healthcare marketer to break that barrier and say, no, it's about taking care of you rather than making it transactional because you come see the doctor or get operated and that's it. But I think for us, the stand that we have taken, that it should be the last thing for you to come and be on the OT table, then saying that we're going to take care of you so that there is no requirement of you being going there. So thus, the products, what we are launching in the market, we launched our subscription, we launched our insurance, we very recently launched our insurance,
Right.
and also how to take care of them. So we are using martech, we are developing those capabilities in house in terms of taking care at every journey point for them.
Mhm.
Preventive becomes the major hold. So if you see in last 2 years, what we have also understood is that loyalty can only be created when you are thinking about them, not the other way around. So that's what our approach is. And I think anyone who's looking at a career, because again, going back to the same thing, you are thinking for the consumer. And if you connect, it's consumer to patient and patient to consumer back again. So that's the journey you need to manage.
I think very, very interesting. And I really agree with the whole brand loyalty part of it. So my parents both are doctors, by the way, and
Oh,
since they are doctors, they study for some ungodly amount of years. So all their friends are doctors. So I've been to multiple hospitals, and a lot of their children are wanting to like digitize it and market it, and they're all struggling. They're like, what's the top of the funnel, other than the fact that my mom or dad are amazing doctors? How else do you build that? So if maybe there's anybody like that hearing this out or trying to kind of push through a small time hospital operation into something larger, what usually is like the top of the funnel here? Is it that ads work? Is it like location specific marketing works? Because a lot is also about availability, right?
yeah.
Sometimes when it comes to like hospitals and what's around, it's convenience based. So any thoughts on that?
Going back to any industry which behaves into brick and mortars, of course, leaving aside the entire digital ecosystem, everybody has built up their digital ecosystems well, but end of the day, the service is getting delivered at one particular location,
Mhm.
right? So the proximity to that brick and mortar store makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, again, to say a P0 becomes the neighborhood. The closer the possible, because you have to also keep in mind the stress I'm going to be in coming from my home to the store. And
Mm-hmm.
in this case, the hospital,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to also manage that. So anyone who's looking at any kind of brick and mortar and then to say a healthcare, which where the delivery is supposed to be happen at a physical point,
Mm-hmm.
it always works to have a good, robust neighborhood strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes, of course, be it on ground, be it digitally, that you're covering all the nearby keywords. You are covering best doctor near me, you're covering best orthopedics doctor near
Mm-hmm.
me, etc. On your specific question of how the ads works, of course it's a push kind of a strategy, but there is a huge role of pull here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people love to find out the right information,
Mm-hmm.
because the minute you start searching, you will end up having cancer. And I think you might have heard it about a couple millions of times that I started searching about some small problem and I ended up finding that I might have a cancer.
Right.
So there's so much room of providing the right information, and that becomes the part of pull. And apart from the push of saying, "Hey, I'm here," to saying that, "Hey, I provide the right education as well,"
Mm-hmm.
and this be the chart of the journey for you to become healthy. These two you have to balance as a healthcare brand. And if you're able to channelize it well and give a brilliant digital journey, which is I can do the fulfillment of booking an appointment,
Mm-hmm.
rescheduling an appointment digitally so well that I already have a habit of, from thanks to e-commerce. If you're able to fulfill that entire journey for me and I have to just land up to the physical place or say the hospital or a clinic, I get the service done. That's an ideal consumer journey.
Again, similar to this zone, often, doctors and who's really operating and who they are is the main point as to why I'd pick a particular hospital, and including yours and few others. The founder doctor and their story and their capability usually shines out, saying, "Oh, this is Mr. Shetty, so it's top notch, it's the best. You must go." Is that true? I mean, how reliant are you on the actual doctor for your own brand's trust building?
I think that goes hand in hand. Just like if I have to trust you as a brand, I need ambassadors to tell me that this is the best one. For the lack of correct surrogate, if you pick it from another industry, let's say Microsoft, they want to tell that they are the best in terms of technology and their analytical skills. They go and partner with F1 racers, the race teams. Their idea is, of course, they're not driving. It's being driven by a driver and a team, a bunch of people who have developed that car.
Right.
But how they sell it, saying that I am the best because I am with Ferrari or I am with Mercedes. So that gives you the entire trust factor. Similarly, if you look at healthcare as an industry, it goes hand in hand. And in our case, we are very fortunate that Dr. Shetty has built up that name and he's living up to that name. And so does the reflection comes to the brand as well. And then when brand stands tall, it stands tall on those perception. So I think you can't take one away from the other as of now.
Got it. Got it. I think the F1 analogy was super cool. It makes the point perfectly. I also saw on Geo Cinemas you had Inside ER, very unique. I've personally not come across a hospital brand or a healthcare brand delving into this. And at the start of our conversation, we spoke about how it needs to make business sense, right? And brand marketing and mainline has always been a attribution question for a lot of people. A lot of marketers say storytelling and brand can't equate into immediate revenue. Some people are like, no, it must move a metric, otherwise you're not doing marketing well, it's a gimmick. How do you measure your efforts on let it be out of home or even something like the OTT collaboration you did?
So I'll tell you what, it has marketing has its own layers. So your last mile conversion will happen with something related to, say for instance, I'm doing things at an arm distance with you. So
Mhm.
say for instance, I'm doing activation on ground where you're coming and doing some kind of screening with us, and where we find out that okay, fine, there is something that we should look at, and you get a consultation with the doctor and then you understand your whole situation. actually that becomes a place where you have patient as a entry. But
Mhm.
the layer in terms of saying that I at least know about Narayana as a brand, or any brand for such matter of fact, as a table of conversation, there you need to have layers. So like I said, a neighborhood strategy, out of homes makes sense for us, um, because it's there, it's static, it gives you a very high frequency of when I require, I have that recall. Inside AR has been, I think, by far the best work that I have done over the years. And I'm very glad the team was able to pull it off. And the idea was such unique. Thankfully, in such brilliant ideas, you don't have to fight for saying that will this move a business metric or not. Everyone relies on you doing the right execution.
Right.
But honestly, it's not that it has not moved business metrics. It has moved because we have seen our brand search queries around emergencies increasing. We've
Mhm.
seen our emergency calls increasing within the neighborhood,
Mhm.
because starting to see people reflect back on the effort our clinical teams have put in, and how the institution has put in effort in terms of solving those big emergency situations, and those critical moments, how patients and their families have reacted. It
Mhm.
gives you a very human touch of saying that if I go through this, where do I go? So that
Right.
connection becomes stronger, and then you start looking for that similar brand when you're even in under stress. So unknowingly, or not putting a lot of effort into saying that this will result into business,
Mhm.
it has worked well.
Awesome. Awesome. Are you planning a season two?
Yes.
Fantastic. I have to still tune into it, but I must say a lot of folks in the medical community have been pretty excited. I'm sure. I think I'll end up watching it, sooner than later. But since you said it's like the best, one of the best of your career, I'm definitely going to tune in.
So I'll give you certain fun fact. Okay, we were quite stressed of launching it during the IPL. Of
Uh-huh.
course, we were talking to multiple OTT partners, but the kind of reach that Geo gives, and the kind of Geo possibilities, geographical possibilities Geo gives you. So we picked up. The deal was done, and we were supposed to go live. We went live couple of days before the IPL started, and we were quite tensed whether we will get the kind of viewership that we are looking at for this, because everyone who's coming in and servicing Geo will be looking for IPL. But you won't believe, of course, the viewership was high on males. It was between the IPL times from 7 to 11:30 was the maximum viewership time.
Wow.
Gave us a very high viewership. And people who have viewed the content have viewed at least 3 episodes. They've completed almost 90% of the episode. It was a fun fact for us also. We thought it will pick up once there's a little kind of lag in for viewership of IPL, then it will pick up. But it went hand in hand, and it delivered more than 100 million during the IPL season itself.
Wow. That's a huge number. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will pass on the compliment to the team.
I wonder, like, it's probably the two screen phenomenon, where I have my cast, I've casted it, it's gonna go on. But cricket can be a little bit boring sometimes, in the middle of those overs, and you're like, hey, let me check it out. It's a great trigger, I guess, and then maybe I'd watch it later, refer it to a friend. So it's a great top of the funnel. Again, in a situation like this, I believe sometimes a lot of people have these ideas, and a lot of times some cultures in the companies are very, as revenue driven, data driven. Like, how do you sell an idea like this, to the management from the marketing team? What's the right way to talk about it?
Of course, it took us time to sell. I'll be dead honest. But if I have to give you summary, there were certain things that we tried earlier. Okay, there were a lot of parts of our campaigns around emergency in terms of giving people that kind of trust that we deliver what we are supposed to.
Mhm.
Um, it used to be always like you are giving that input, then only you're receiving the output. The
Mhm.
minute you stop or say switch off the gas, that used to dip for us.
Mhm.
And we understood that it's not a push game, because you will never be able to survive the push game, like how
Mhm.
you do it for performance campaigns, right? So we thought there needs to be something that comes back as a pull,
Mhm.
where there is a perception built. So we have to take a larger stance. I think in a nutshell, in a minute, I've told you what we did for a couple of months in terms
Mhm.
of making sure we reach to where we are today.
I'm sure it mustn't have been easy even for somebody like you. So I'm glad it worked well. I have seen a couple of campaigns you folks have done. I believe it was the Take Care campaign, and I think we spoke about so much. You've produced a show, done billboards and performance and whatnot, right? A lot of marketers are just trying to figure out the right content production stack also for them, right? What should be in house, when should I outsource? A lot of chatter has been there, around this also, especially with AI looming around right now as well. So what's your ideal go to stack? What do you usually outsource? What do you keep in house?
If you look at it at a month level, we're producing more than 400, 450 films. If you go and if you get time anytime, just look at our YouTube page. There are regular content that tells you about, say, for instance, trending topic, how as a consumer you need to take care of yourself. That's something that is delivered by our doctors. These guys have enough experience in the field that they're talking about, and they know how it should happen for a consumer to not become a patient, and they give the right information. That becomes one part of stack for us. The other part is pull and push creation, and that stack is outsourced. The other one, we do it internally. Our teams on ground have now years of experience of doing this, and because of that effort, we are of course the number one channel on YouTube and the number one page on Facebook as well across the industry. To a point, I can say, Kaman, there is no right or wrong way. Okay, because globally, and also within our industry India wise as well, we've seen that there are teams who have production teams internally. So there will be a 20 people team that will go to, say, hospital to hospital or clinic to clinic or doctor to doctor and produce that content, edit internally and put it on their channels. I'm giving you a global example here, and they do amazing work. I'm not saying they're not doing, they're doing amazing work. The kind of testimonies, the way they handle a
Mhm.
situation of person's health is
Mhm.
amazing. And
Fantastic.
then there's a lot like us who have a hybrid model where you break certain things which are low cost but very high frequency,
Mm.
that we take care ourselves.
You said that healthcare brand you mentioned internationally. Is there an advantage to doing everything in house, or is it more risky?
At least it has worked for them, because then imagine, Kavan, when you start getting a brand's Instagram reels or their YouTube videos being shared saying these guys have done a good job, I think they've earned it. And then if they become the boardroom conversations, they've earned. Sometimes these brands don't get to know that this is
Right.
the kind of conversations that are happening around the effort that you are making.
Right.
Somewhere they might also be fighting, saying that, oh my God, this is so much of cost. You should start looking at cutting the cost.
Nice. I like that.
So I don't know whether they are aware of it, but their reels say otherwise. They are
Mm-hmm.
very strong in engagement.
Mm-hmm.
It has worked for them, but it needs a lot of conviction, I think, from the management saying that yes, I am okay to go ahead with it. Once you have that kind of mindset of backing your team, and eventually the things will definitely work on.
So you're saying that while it must be an extra cost, the quality and just the overall engagement is high.
Yeah,
Often brands say they do BAU in house because quality is not the prime focus, it's execution.
yeah.
But we go to an expert partner like an agency for quality, right? So are you saying that it's difficult these days for agencies as a third party to create like organic content which is share worthy?
It becomes challenging because I've worked in the agency as well, so I can give you that example, and being very confident on saying that it becomes challenging because you have layers to go for an execution. It's not that fast, and when you look at in-house solutions, you are looking at something which can be turned around in 24 hours, sometimes 4 hours. I think to some extent it's true also to say that agencies right now are not equipped for turning it around that fast.
Hmm.
If they are, they might become a partner in crime. Okay, fine, I completely outsource this to you. Look at producing some 400 odd videos for me every month, and this is how it needs to be done, keeping in mind that you have to travel to all 14 cities for me.
Got it.
So
Understood.
it's challenging, yeah.
On this note, you worked with a bunch of agencies, and so Indie follows a network of creative agencies, studios, and independent consultants, and they definitely tune into these podcasts. So for any agency founder today, what would be your advice to them? What separates, let's say, a great agency from a good one?
Yeah, great agency will always take efforts in terms of understanding the business funds rather than thinking about their P&L. And
Right.
that is how we were taught. While I was at agency, the only thing that we need to focus on was used to crack it for the client that we were working on. And if that is your mindset, right, all right, fine. If I'm able to solve for your business problem, the first and foremost is I've understood your business problem. And then if I solve for it, that's bullseye. That's bullseye. So that means you've cracked the client for life. Until unless you do something grossly wrong that the client is not anymore, or the brand itself is not anymore happy with you working. So anyone who's starting fresh or is keen to start, just focus on solving a business problem.
Doing research about the brand and then maybe making a pitch which solves a particular core problem, I guess, is the way to scale and the way to make your mark.
Absolutely. So don't do cold email saying that this is what I have done. I might be able to do it for you. Rather
Okay.
than give me a situation or a problem that you found out about me as a brand, pitch that problem, understand whether it is big or small for me, and then build your case.
We are towards the last few, maybe two, three questions for the pod, and I want to now just discuss AI with you. I think we just spoke about content creation agencies and and things like that. There's obviously a conversation around AI replacing many things, but definitely content production is going to get revamped. So, how do you envision the future content stack for brands as a marketer? Do you feel marketing teams will be pushed to do content creation now because it is so easy, one person can run the whole function? Or is it that, hey, no, you focus on strategy only, we will expect to have a marketplace where there are these AI accelerated agencies and workflows which I still outsource to. So what do you think is going to happen in the future?
Let's be honest, okay? It's too early to predict. It's too early to predict.
Right.
But given what we are talking at a level where it becomes interesting, I think it's not about making sure that one person can run the entire vertical. It's
Mm-hmm.
about how the entire team can start living with the new technology. So if a person like me is not able to learn how I need to behave with the new technology and get the best out of me, I am already redundant, right? So I don't need to worry about whether it's going to take away my life or entire production. If I'm not able to get the most out of it, that's what technology is supposed to do.
Right.
And if I'm gonna 100% or solely depend on technology to do my job, that gut and that inner voice of you saying, yeah, this is the right idea that I should do, it won't make sense. It's too early, Kavan, to say whether it will move into one this direction or this direction.
Yeah.
I think in next 1 year, or say this financial year itself, there will be so much changes in the technology. We might be
Correct.
looking at a third or a fourth variant of it.
It's moving like scarily fast, and yeah, it's something which obviously keeps a lot of us up at night, seeing what will brands decide to do or where the world will shift.
I'll ask one quick question from you on this topic itself. So, say you're growing with this technology. Okay, when you growed up with the technology. You're very close to it. You're following it very smartly on it as well, and you have shared a lot of your point of views on it as well. So,
Hmm.
what's your suggestion for somebody like me? How do you live with it? What do you need to do with it so that you also learn and grow?
I don't know what I can teach you, Ashish, but I feel just getting your hands dirty,
Yeah.
is the most important. What I love about these tools is that they're getting everywhere. Like, it's going to be, I think, in the next few months, in your email, in your office suite, maybe your WhatsApp, right? So just kind of exposing yourself to it, I think, will teach us a lot. But what I can tell you, or rather, I have a question, which is a question for you to think on. is I feel right now, and again, I'm biased here with my business, but I really feel what's happening is everybody's like use AI in content creation. But I don't think that marketing leaders and departments have still decided what they want out of AI. Like,
Yeah.
is it cheaper, better, and faster? How cheaper? How better? What is better, and how much faster? It's always been a gimmick. Hey, let's use AI where I'll spend 50 lakhs on a campaign because I can talk about AI, which is cool. It's nice. I think these things work, no denying it. But they don't seem to be uh, disrupting enough for the chat we had before this, right? Where will it replace the person? So it's been a common journey for me to kind of understand what would you decide what AI will do. So I'm imagining in the future I'll have to have an AI rate card, which has this crazy tat and a very cost effective outcome and an amazing quality, right? Always clients want, I want it yesterday and very well. Maybe we'll have to start saying yes to it because we can deliver it. But
Uh,
what that is something which it'll be awesome if, I think brands or marketers can define. And then I believe a lot of service providers can work backwards from there.
that's a very good point that you're leaving with me, that you should have a currency of evaluation on what you need to look at. So I'll keep this in mind definitely. And the next time we meet, I think we should have some answers on it.
Awesome, awesome, and I'd love to see if we could, build that for you. But I think just want to hop on to the last question, Ashish, and I think loved so many of your insights and analogies, and that's why I thought you mentioned this in the start. So I'd want to end with something around this, where you said it doesn't matter, where you are working in terms of the industry, what you've really done in terms of a specialization. Customers are customers, and they are, it's a 25-year-old anywhere, is a 25-year-old anywhere in India or whatever. So as long as you know that, that'll be awesome. So you've done so many things. Would you be able to leave us with, let's say, some of your favorite or your top insights on consumer behavior which you don't think will change, and I should double down when a marketer should double down on that.
So I think the first and foremost is when I am spending on something and I'm gonna own it, I should be able to flaunt it. For the youngsters, this will never change. And let's stick to this one, that I want to own it and flaunt it, because at a youngster stage, it could be where I'm going to the college, which phone I'm using, which bag I'm wearing, which clothes I'm wearing. That will be that. When you look at somebody who's say 30 to 40, or say 45, it will still be the same. What I own and how I can flaunt it. The cars I drive, the watch I wear, the clothes I wear, the shoes I'm wearing, the house where I stay. So all of these things again stay true. So for me, till the time, say at a given the age, when you've already done all the flaunt, is where the second change comes, when it becomes, is it solving the purpose? Because then suddenly that car is to only take you from point A to B, that watch is only to tell you the time, that house is only for you to sleep. So these are the only two strong, never gonna change kind of insights up till now, what I've seen. And I think for coming years it will not change at all.
Awesome. So well put. Great way to end the session on that note. I hope you had a good time, Ashish.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. And for everybody who stuck along, please like, share, and subscribe if you'd like to listen to another marketing leader like Ashish very, very soon. Thank you so much.